I am. Well, it sounds like Matthew has had a rough week with it too.
I'm
So
sick as well. I know I look like shit. If you could like hide the bags under my eyes.
you're doing a good job in that dark office.
Oh, thanks. It's not so dark here. We have moonlighting. Uh,
Well, what people are going to be able to see, it's going to look really dark because they're
uh,
not going to see your windows on the side there.
all right. Well, you'll get the closed captioning going.
Yeah.
The last refresh we did was May 5th. I know that date because it's my son's birthday, and I just closed on a piece of property on that day. And I was running around like crazy. I even forgot my computer in my briefcase that day. Someone had to bring it to me. I was so nuts.
Did you get a
So
margarita in that day? That's the important.
no, I didn't. Listen, my wife's Colombian Mexican. Like she doesn't do the gringo Cinco de Mayo thing.
I thought every day was reason for a margarita.
That would be great. I like margaritas.
By the way, how did the hockey tournament go?
The one in DC?
Yeah.
They won. They won. And guess what? They got a hat. They got a hat. They didn't get a medal or a trophy. They just gave them a hat that was like champions.
That's weak.
Does that suck? I mean, he wears a hat, but
Huh. Huh. That's funny. Does everyone get a hat?
everyone on the team got a hat, a champion's hat. But
Well, I
not
mean,
every
everyone
team.
playing. You got to have participation hats.
No, it's not participation hats. No way. No way. No way.
Hmm. Well, the memory is better than the trophy.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
True.
You can always go and get a trophy made too.
True. Who needs trophies?
Go down to the trophy shop.
Well, glad to hear he won. And was it a fun trip to DC?
It was great. We took the whole family. Even my 1-year-old was cheering him on. She did a great job.
I haven't been in DC in freaking years. I used to go to DC all the time.
Yeah.
I loved DC. I went to school there.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
where at?
GW.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, 5-second warning.
Cool.
All right. Time to get spicy.
Yo,
was already here.
what brought that up?
I had heard it on something earlier and was like, you know what? We don't have like a set. Here's this theme of what Matthew's going to talk about today. So,
Yeah.
but every time you've been on, it's always been a whole lot of truths that sort of shoot people between the eyes. So, what's a politically correct way of saying that? Spicy.
I tried. Yeah, spicy.
I guess.
I always heard it as unfiltered. I've got no filters.
There you go. Unfiltered.
Yeah. But it's good to be back, guys. Last time was May. And, being a dealer, we live in 30-day cycles. So, every 30 days we have a total different mood, temperature, feel for the world, the economy, our customers. So May feels like it was 5 years ago. But one thought I have is, I've done some podcasts since the last time, but you guys are the OG, right? You guys have been doing this since 2005. I've been in the business full time since 2005, but I just feel like you guys were the first. You're the first. I don't know. I don't remember anyone before you guys, and especially with the video format, which has been like, I don't know, almost 10 years already. So I'm glad to be here.
No, glad to have you. Yeah.
Tried to get you here sooner, but your son had to go and win a hockey tournament.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you. We did.
Tell him not to do that next time.
Yeah, no more hockey. Yeah, no. I love it. It's the best. It's the best.
Well,
Cool.
welcome back.
Thank you.
And one of the things that you said last time you were on, we've been able to use quite a bit. It's just talking about the
Yeah.
servicing or replacing the battery in one of your EVs,
Yeah.
the forklift story.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. So since then, we got I think it was a mandate letter from one of the manufacturers giving us an option of good, better, and best for forklifts. And I think it's like mandatory. It's like a mandatory special tool. But man, I think at the time I showed you the video and you were telling me to, buy a forklift dealership. I should have. I mean, we're all going to need these forklifts, and it's very confusing because like we need the forklift, but then at the same time, our insurance company is sending us like white papers on EV battery storage, on where we have to store them, because if you store them in the store and they catch fire, you can't put them out, and then the store will burn down. And then if you have solar on the roof,
Sounds encouraging.
you're really screwed. So between the solar on the roof and the batteries you're storing somewhere, I don't know. We're going to get insurance in the future. I don't know how anyone's going to want to insure a building with all this flammable crap that we have in the dealership.
Well,
Never
actually,
considered that.
Insurance companies have had it pretty rough lately. In they're only really writing new insurance in 20-ish states, and it varies by company. But like Florida is completely screwed at the moment.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
for
behind the
homeowners
eight.
insurance.
Yeah, and then I heard it's been a crazy year with hail. So where's hail? Hail's in Texas and the Midwest, I guess. Yeah, I don't know how we're transitioning to insurance, but maybe that will create a lane for the manufacturers. Maybe the manufacturer will have to get into the game if the traditional insurers aren't there
It's
to
true.
underwrite this
So they'll be on the floor plan game and your insurance too.
insurance game. Who knows?
Hmm.
Zurich, which is like the biggest, it was Universal Underwriters, was started by Ford dealers. Yeah, started by like a bunch of Ford dealers back
Oh, I
in the
didn't
day.
know that.
Yeah, we're gonna come full circle with everything. So don't ever say something's out of style. It's gonna come back. And that brings me into customer experience. Why customer experience is so important now, right? What are they saying? They're saying all the Gen Z is spending hours and hours researching on TikTok, and because they're getting all the research out of their system on TikTok, that's why the face-to-face is like more important than it's ever been with Gen Z. Interesting.
It's been. I recently started using a software called Loom. Pretty cool.
Okay.
LOOM, and it's a real quick way to just take a recording of you, but also your computer screen if you want, and throw it into a non-automotive CRM system like HubSpot or Salesforce. They're all integrated with that, or copy and paste right into an email or text and fire it off. But what Loom does is it takes the first few seconds and it turns it into a GIF. So when somebody opens the email or the text, it's seeing the some movement in there.
Motion.
Yeah, and it's just a real quick and easy way to do it. So instead of pecking out an email for 5 minutes, throw this up and record a quick 1 minute video, copy, paste, boom, off. And it's been good for, I've been using it for a little client reach out, but was looking forward to the day when I get to use it with some of my employees. So I'm waiting for somebody to send me this giant email with like thoughts at the end of it. Like, all right, here are my thoughts. Record.
Very cool.
So
I wrote it down. I'm going to check that out.
yeah, I think you'd like
Would
it.
that be friendly for a dealership to use?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, as long as you got a webcam.
Yeah.
Actually, they have an app too. I haven't tried that yet.
I was gonna say there's an app as well.
Yeah, I haven't tried it yet.
Cool.
No.
Yeah. So, and then while we're on the subject of technology, Joe Pastel, he's watching on YouTube today, says Amazon Hyundai.
Yeah, I was getting ready to bring that up. I
So
guess
is it?
Hyundai will be selling their vehicles on Amazon 2024. Says Hyundai will begin sales of its full portfolio of vehicles via the Amazon shopping platform. Haven't they tried this before though?
Yes, they have both Hyundai and Amazon.
It's not
And it
sale.
failed.
It's well, it. I mean, I haven't double clicked on it. Like I don't know the details, but my first instinct is it really sales or is it like just lead gen?
I haven't read through it either, so I'm not really sure. I would say payment and financing options will be available during checkout.
Who's going to power that?
I guess Amazon.
Amazon. Well, let's see. I wish them. I wish them luck. I mean, that's what we're all trying to go for is that true payment online shopping experience.
Yeah, I see no issues there.
Yeah, no, I mean, customers are completely rational. They do everything and
Well,
transactionally. Yeah,
Alex, I want my Hyundai and I want to do multiple secure deposits. So tell them to figure that out for me.
They're
By the way,
they're
you're
in.
probably gonna have to explain the multiple security deposits.
Sorry. Multiple for all those lease hackers out there, MSDs are a way for you to give a manufacturer several fully refundable deposits, and in turn, they lower your interest rate and lower your monthly payment. And it's a great way to get a lower monthly payment if you have some money lying around that you want to give to the manufacturer. So, like people that are really into just getting the best lease deal ever with the lowest interest rate, it's a great tool. And if you're a leaser, you could just constantly roll them over, roll them over, roll them over, and you just know that you're getting a good payment. But where it presents challenges for all these tools that are trying to figure out online payments. It's not the easiest to
Yeah,
figure out.
And no, Jeff, Toyota does not do that.
damn it.
He's
They
got
don't.
he's
Next
got a he's
question.
got a lease coming up.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I found out I can extend it 3 months, so I'm definitely going to take advantage of that. See
What
what
banks will
happens.
do that one, Matthew?
I mean, I thought every bank does it. I really didn't think that. I'm surprised that Toyota doesn't do MSDs.
Well, maybe they do. I just figured it was.
Guarantee you, every bank has a multiple secure deposit
Hmm.
program. And
I know
so
Mercedes does.
Toyota is so smart with their money. They have. I'm sure they would want customers secure deposits to invest.
Well, that's worth
I
looking
don't
I'm gonna
know.
into.
check into that.
Unfortunately, I'm not a Toyota dealer. If I was, I'd be somewhere on an island.
Yeah, you're just stuck
They
with
sell a few
Lowry,
more
Volvo,
cars.
and Lincoln and
Yeah,
Polestar.
hard working.
It's all
Which
right.
I'm still, by the way, love the Lincolns. How's how have they actually gotten the Aviator recall taken care of yet?
It's a work. Uh, it's a work in progress. It's getting there. It's getting there. We are delivering them now, but it was tough. It was tough. I mean, and someone's going to write a book, I think, about what happened with recalls and quality during COVID. Like someone's gonna really tell us what really happened because there's not a manufacturer out there, I don't care who it is, who didn't experience like the worst quality ever during the last 3 years.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't know if it's the microchip shortage. I don't know if it's all the new software and the new apps in the car. But man, we really struggled with quality for every brand. Every brand.
Hmm.
A couple of years. Totally shocking.
So we got all the quality issues, which are going to spur more recalls, and then you got, I guess, two other things specifically for the domestic brands that are they're kind of looming. You got the the EVs that aren't cutting out for them, and then you've also got the recent uh, agreement with the UAW.
Mm-hmm.
So I think $41 an hour is the new rate by 2027 for well, and yeah, for the union members. So what's that? What's all that going to do? Like what's
All right, so wait, I could. The first thing I want to say is dealers are not anti EVs. If whoever's trying to spin that narrative is insane. I've never met a dealer that doesn't want to sell something.
Exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
and my line's always like, I'll sell a bike, I'll sell a motorcycle, I'll sell you a watch. If I got it, I'm going to sell it, and that's what we love to do. Is we love to sell. So like, I don't know who's leaking this narrative, and like that's just crazy.
oh, did I say something that
No, you didn't say it. I want to
oh,
get.
okay.
I want that needs to get out there. That is insane. You read all these articles, and it's like, oh, the dealers are the roadblock to EV. Like, no, not at all. We're not the
Right.
roadblock. But I can
No.
tell you, we're on the front line, and when there's a lot of supply and not enough demand, yeah, we cry and we complain about it. But that doesn't mean we're anti EV. We're just a mirror. We're reflecting the market.
Yep.
So I think there's a lot of great deals out there right now for people that want a car, and they'll consider an EV at a specific value proposition. And I see that on the used side, and I see that on the new side. On the new side, EVs are built for leasing based on the Inflation Reduction Act. If you lease an EV, there's no cap on income, and it's a guaranteed pass through. So EVs are built for leasing, and if you look at leasing any EV or plug-in hybrid, I mean, there's a ton of incentives on those cars, and consumers, they love a deal. And then on the used side,
But
these EVs,
consumers aren't used to leasing overall.
again, it depends on the market, and that's the thing. Like I come from a very small pocket. We're in tri-state New York City, where 80% of our consumers on luxury cars are leasing.
Lease.
And
Yep.
that's conservative. We're in a lease market. So again, like I don't have experience in those markets where people aren't leasing, and yeah, they're gonna have to get back to the basics, and it was like what, that half a car program that was like even before my time, where it like taught the basics of what a lease is. Like those markets, they're gonna sell EVs. They need to get back to that, because EVs are if you want a new EV, you lease it. If you want to buy an EV, you should consider a pre-owned, because a lot of those cars are
Mhm.
going for half of window sticker, and they're a great value. Um, so yeah, I mean, we have a lot of supply, and I think the manufacturers are going to make adjustments there, because they can't compete with the race to the bottom that Tesla's doing. I mean, you just can't compete. So if you're going to have to hold, and you can't compete with Tesla, they're going to cut production. And even though they have agreements set at place first with the government and states, that they need a certain percentage and they need these EV credits, and then they have deals with their suppliers. But you'll see an adjustment as we transition to EV. As far as the UAW, like what I've heard is I heard as soon as everything was settled, the manufacturers just passed that on to us and the consumers with price increases. Like I heard there were parts increases, more price increases on cars, and that's how they tackled it. And I heard the non union manufacturers went ahead and gave out raises as well. Um, but yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, as a dealer, we're funding a lot of this, and yeah, they just did a little turn of the dial, price increase, and yeah, let's keep the factories moving.
Yeah. It's price increases in the midst of an affordability issue, world is a little hard to stomach at the moment.
So Matthew, I guess I'm probably about 3 hours south of you. Probably about, yeah. And high end dealership, I would say 20 to 30% of ours are leases. So almost completely the opposite of what you got going on.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's different. But the way I look at EVs, and I have a brand that's brand dedicated EV. Yeah, it's just like why would you not? These are luxury cars; they're expensive. So you would say that most of these people are not going to qualify for any incentive based on the income caps. Um, so why would someone not want to lease the car and just grab that $7,500? Even if they pay off the car and buy it down the line, that
Can
that
you,
money comes.
True.
if you lease over, what is it, $80,000? Is that the cap for the?
There's no cap on a lease because a
Mm.
lease is considered commercial. So if it's commercial, there's no cap, there's no income, it's guaranteed, and most of the manufacturers just do a straight pass through right to the customers on that money. I thought there were a couple holdouts that didn't do it yet, but most people are just passing it right on to the customer. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, again, so it's just stuff we got to get used to. But I mean, I hear all this anti-EV sentiment. It's nuts. Like we'll sell anything. We love it. I mean, and we know what customers are saying. So like if we're saying anything, we're the voice of what the customers say. But it's I don't know. Listen, it's scary. It's exciting. Like we're gonna have to go back to this video a year from now and see where we're at.
How are your EV sales doing?
So it depends. I mean, we love selling used EVs where a lot of people run away from it. I do think we have a unique advantage because one of our stores is brand dedicated EV. And I think if you're brand dedicated EV, it's a better experience for the customer because it's not like I've said this before. It's like 5-Car Fred. He's the guy who sells the least amount of cars in a showroom, but knows everything. He's the one when the new guy, he's telling him how it is. So, and that 5-Car Fred has really become like the EV specialist, right? So, you go into a store that's not brand dedicated EV, and very limited volume is EV. So who do they get? They get the EV specialist who's the 5-Car Fred. When you're brand dedicated EV, everybody knows about EV. Everybody knows about charging. Everybody knows the landscape. It's a lot easier to sell used EVs from a brand dedicated EV space. Again, this is just my experience. But all my brands that I sell, they're mostly they have a flavor of EV. Another thing is, the manufacturers now, like it's EV asterisks, right? So EV is plug-in hybrid, really, it is. EV is mild hybrid now. So, Toyota and Lexus, they've been selling hybrids forever. And now, like, hybrids are kind of like hybrid asterisk EV. So, yeah, I mean,
are hybrids, are they, can you get the rebates with those?
You can.
Or is it just full EV?
Plugs.
Really?
Plugs, yeah.
Oh, plug. Okay.
Yeah, plugs. Got to have a plug. No plug.
Damn it.
Yeah. But it's funny. I had a thought. I was waiting for my car the other day in a garage, and I just saw like Jeep after Jeep after Jeep with plugs, and I'm thinking to myself, how many of these Jeeps have like ever been plugged in? How many of these customers even know they have the plug up there? Like, it's the only Jeep that I had. And a lot of these OEMs are shipping these plugs to certain states because they have like a requirement of certain percentage of the cars they sell there have to have this. But I'm like, man, it's a lot of plugs, and I guarantee you no one ever plugged it in. I like plug-in hybrid is really cool though. I like it a lot, especially for someone who just does limited driving around town.
My wife's got a plug-in hybrid that she's not allowed to plug in. Seriously. Ford Fusion.
And why can't you plug it in?
Some type of recall on the battery.
Recall.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if it's the battery or something in between.
Wow.
But they sent her, I think they sent her a $5 or a 500, maybe, I don't know, either
It's
250 or
$250, I thought.
$500. Yeah. $250 gift card to help pay for gas.
That's crazy.
It's,
Plug in.
I told her, I was like, just plug it in. I mean, it's probably a small chance of something actually happening, but of course, with my luck.
Oh my God.
Yeah, just put a flame bag over it every night.
Yeah, exactly. I've got one of those as well.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. I got a couple of those laying around the house.
Put like 6 fire extinguishers right next to the
Yeah,
garage.
yeah, exactly.
Little thermometer.
Yeah, I mean, at your house, you could
See if the heat
park it
goes
out
up.
on the street or right on the edge of the driveway in the street and
Could do
run
that.
a long cord.
Very true. Very true. Yeah. There's some ways around it, I'm sure.
Yeah. I don't know. So, Alex, did I answer your questions? You had 2 questions?
I think you did.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, your opinion on these is all I was looking for.
Yeah. But man, I'll sell anything. Anything.
What are you driving?
So I drive an XC90 plug-in hybrid, which is a Volvo 7-passenger. And, I have 4 kids, right? And we pack in that car. And I have so many customers that have like 2 kids, and they're like, "Oh no, we can't fit in an XC90. We need a Navigator. We need a Suburban." But yeah, no, I love driving the XC90. It's an awesome car. And unfortunately for me, my EV range on it would last like 20 minutes because I put a lot of miles on my car. I drive all over northern New Jersey. I go from store to store every day. And so, the plug-in hybrid's great for someone who like drives less than 40 miles a day, but I probably put, 100 miles a day.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a bit of a commute, don't you?
No, it's not a bad commute. It's like I live in New York City and my stores surround New York City. So it could be from 45 minutes to an hour and a half, but I'm a driver and I'm addicted to podcasts, and podcasts are the greatest thing that have happened. I was at a marketing meeting yesterday, and I saw this slide, and the slide was like, traditional media is getting that 55 and older crowd, and they're getting like, it's only like they get their cable news or TV. But after that, man, it's all podcasts, TikTok, social.
What's in your top 5?
Oh my God. Do I get credit for this?
Sure.
All right. Yeah, this is huge. All right. But now everyone's going to know
it's not the Barbie movie podcast following. Or
No,
like that.
no.
Yeah, okay.
Number 1, without a doubt, is All In. I love those guys. Are you familiar with All In?
Heard of it.
Oh my God. These guys are amazing.
Sports?
No. So it's business and a business with a little sprinkling of politics. But it's a group of guys. They call themselves the besties, and they're VC, private equity. Really, it is the best podcast. It's got to be. If there's like a podcast ranking, I don't know. It's got to be up there. And then so that's that. It comes out, drops once a week, usually on Fridays. It's the best. I'm addicted to that. And then after that, it's all my podcasts are business. It's founder. Founders, they summarize biographies and autobiographies. Amazing. Okay. Business breakdowns, invest like the best. And then if I had to pick like one last one, I do a sprinkling of a bunch of different automotive ones that I really love. Really love. Yeah. But
Maybe you should share a few of those with me. Most of mine are all either entertainment, highly political at the current moment. I sort of go back and forth, or a mix of political and
like I'm going to put like political and comedy into like Rogan, Lex Friedman. I
listen to Lex.
Lex is awesome. But no, it totally, like, for me, I'm in the car. I'm into my podcast.
Theo Vaughn's been killing it here lately.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
But honestly, like getting a college degree. You know, every time you listen to a podcast, it's just like I never paid attention in college for any of these classes.
Without the activism.
Exactly. Exactly.
I'll give you another one that might be fun. This one's short.
Yeah.
Dirty Jobs guy, Mike Rowe.
Oh yeah, I love Mike Rowe.
Yeah, he does The Way I Heard It, and they're like 15 minutes or less. And the way he tells these stories, it's about like an event
So great.
in some historical figure's life, and he just builds it up. You have no idea who it is until the end, and it's just this great little story, and boom, it was so and so, and it's like, oh wow, I didn't realize that connection and all this kind of stuff. It's a lot of neat little learnings very quickly. Fun.
Cool. I love that.
I forget about
our mutual friend Jen Suzuki's got a nice little podcast.
Yeah, Jen does a great job. She just relaunched it, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or she just relaunched it. Jen does a great job.
Yep.
Yeah, we haven't had her on for a while.
So I saw in automotive news like a while back, like dealers that have their own podcasts. Is this smart? Should a dealer do this or not? Is it a way for him to connect with him or her? Connect with their
What
market?
would you?
I don't even know.
I
like an automotive news article, like best idea session.
Well,
Does
maybe
there's a guy I follow on Twitter that is pretty active. I think he does a podcast. I'll have to look it up.
Well, the hardest part with podcasting and with anything is being consistent.
Yes.
That is tough.
Absolutely. You got to really know your lane and stay in your lane.
Yeah.
Well, just be ready to do it again. You know, it's we do this every Friday, and there's definitely some times where it's like, it would sure be nice to take this Friday off instead. You know, not for whatever reason. You know, I was sick this week, and I was definitely like, man, would sure love to spend today in bed, but you know, here we are, and I enjoy it. So, and also didn't want to miss you. So,
thank you. Yeah, I'm not special, but I appreciate it. You make me feel so. Build on my confidence.
But you could do.
Yeah, it's car dealership one. Guy.
Oh, I love car dealership guy. Love him.
Yeah, I follow him on Twitter.
He is. Did you listen to his podcast?
I've caught a few of them, but I'm not consistent with it.
Yeah, I just follow him on Twitter.
His podcast is really, really good. He really, you know, we talk so much slang and we talk fast, and he double clicks on what we say. So if someone who's not in auto retail, they don't know what the hell we're saying, he's like, wait a minute, let's slow down, explain what you just said, and then he converts it to regular slang. You know, we have our own code and dialect.
Oh, yeah.
In the car business.
Yep. Hanging paper, taking ups.
Yeah.
You got that MF?
Yeah.
Speaking of
I have
MFs,
a few, but I won't share.
I think
so
your ability to play with leases, Matthew, like you could have some appeal with that, where you could do just a little broadcast of you manipulating a lease this month or this week or whatever. This is the most recent program I found, and boom. And that would be great for your customers.
That would be sick. That would be, you know, I did some really bootleg versions back in the day of like just walking through a lease, but it's a great idea.
So grab Loom. It's $12.50 a month.
Okay.
And just do a Loom of it, and then put it up on Prestige's Facebook. Put it out as your organic social post from time to time.
Yeah, and I'll call it "Finding the Sweet Spot" with Matthew C. Haiken.
There you go.
You know, if you remember, it had to be 2014.
You could be the MF hacker.
The MF hacker. No, my hacker name is Swede Hacker because I'm a Volvo dealer. I love Volvo. Swede Hacker, that's me. But like in 2014, when I built my new Volvo store, which is like now it's like 10 years old, but I set it up with iMac 27 kiosks everywhere. And you probably remember this, but I set it up where customers could desk their own deals. And I'll never forget, like I penciled this guy, and then he brought his wife in later that afternoon and went to the kiosk, and he was like, "See, honey, that's the sweet spot." And like that was my line because I was like, "You got to just desk every scenario and look for the sweet spot." And he's closing his wife on my kiosk, showing her like, the 24 months, that's the sweet spot this month. So, yeah, finding the sweet spot.
Any new technology you're using at the dealership for follow up or penciling?
No, I like last
Video?
like we're still just doing as like we're really getting into the AI thing, trying to figure out AI, and I'm reading on so much on that, and everyone's saying like most people don't know how to give the input to the AI to really get the most out of it. So no, no, nothing that's keeping me up at night. So I don't know. No, I don't have anything new. I don't know. I'm excited for. I'm excited. I'm going to be at NADA in Vegas. I'm sure everything's going to be on AI. It's going to be like
Oh,
ad
I'm sure.
nauseum. Yeah, yeah. I mean, for us, it's just getting back to the basics and living in this normalized marketplace. And we really just need to get back to focusing on our customer service and delivering excellence and making sure that every single guest gets treated, amazing, amazing. That's what I'm focused on. And then I'm focused on parts and service big time. Parts service, we've been putting a lot of units out the last few years. Parts and service is growing, and just having the best experience. And, one of my new stores, I bought it, had a really, really just bad customer environment for parts and service. So I'm looking at building something new and something from scratch, and what does good look like there. And, a lot of this is just basic stuff, but that's what we do, right? We play whack-a-mole and we fix something, and then another thing breaks, and then we have to go after that. And we only have so much brain power. So that's where I live.
Can you double click on something for me, Matthew?
Yeah.
Normalized
We're
market.
gonna start saying that.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I was thinking when you said double click, I was like, shouldn't you right click it? Do look up?
Yeah. Yeah. So what does the normalized market look like?
Yeah.
Looks like I've got cars everywhere. Getting thrown out of my storage lots because there's so many cars. And in the Northeast, right, we don't have 20 acres where our cars are. How we survive, we do big volume, but we have storage lots everywhere. We have to rent these storage lots, and we have to beg to get in them, and then hope the town doesn't throw us out. So we've got inventory, and our transaction prices have come down to a pre-COVID normalization. So a lot of inventory, um, pretty thin gross profit margin, and it's volume, volume, volume. That's what I'm seeing. And listen, I speak to a lot of dealers all over the place, and some are still, enjoying these COVID supply and demand errors, but the coast kind of sees things before the middle of the country. And in our market, it is back to the good old days. What that means is dealing with the implications of our teams, making flats, and flats are minimum commissions instead of making these crazy commissions. It comes down to really selling the product, because you need to sell the value of the product, where When we didn't have enough supply and we had more demand, it was like, I've got a blue one. It's going to be sold the next hour. Take it or leave it. I mean, no, like selling the product. And it's a competitive market. It's competitive. So that's what normal means for me. And I don't hate it at all. It's like riding a bike,
Yeah,
and
it's what we all grew up in.
yeah. And listen, I don't know if we'll ever see what we saw again in our lifetime, but before we lived through that, everyone told me, you've never seen the good times that we had. You don't, I feel bad for you. You work really hard, and you're never going to see the good times we had. And we just lived through that, and man, if we ever get to see that again, it'll be a blessing. But I doubt it. I think the game's back to normalization.
How long have you been in that market now?
What do you mean by that?
Back to normal.
Oh, wow, man. I'd like to say it started at the beginning of this year, and it just accelerated and accelerated and accelerated.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'd say, now we're really in a normalized market, but I think it was a slow transition, but it definitely started off at the beginning of the year. Last year, if you're looking back at last November, December, it was a crazy time, right? So used cars were crashing this year, that time. But then in first quarter, they came out and they rebounded like crazy. And everybody was getting off their used cars a year from now saying, I'm not going to pay income tax on false profits. I own these cars. I'm getting rid of them. Had a great year. I made money, but I'm not going to lose my shirt. And what happened last first quarters, the market went up, and it was like, whoa. And there's some people, I listened to some podcasts where people are like, oh, I knew it was going to happen. It always goes up first quarter, that's used car selling season. That's when people get their tax refunds. But man, I listen to some smart used car people. I don't think anyone knew the market was going to rebound in first quarter last year.
They weren't projecting it.
No. And listen, now we're in the heart of it now, November, December. And values are coming down, but it's not like last November, December it was like a mini crash from my perspective. It was a mini crash, and I was selling cars, and those cars all came back huge first quarter. And I don't think anyone had a crystal ball. I don't care how smart you are. So it's definitely, I think it's a more predictable environment this year, but who knows? Like, let's see what happens in first quarter. Someone might call me an idiot, and I don't know. It's just my guess.
Well, we've got a question from YouTube. Actually, there's some comments coming
Cool.
from YouTube for a change, and this is from the True Dorito.
Cool.
So, great, Dave. Does this mean that lead gen providers should see a tailwind in their business if things have normalized? Now that not just lead providers, but I would say any vendor who's offering a solution that works.
I don't know. It's a double-edged sword. I think people are going to make, if they haven't already started, I think you're going to see people making cuts, right? So our margins are down. Our supply is up. Floor plan's an expense. So you got to cut somewhere. So, dealers are definitely going to look at these vendors to cut. They have to make cuts. And there's people that are early adopters. I like to see myself as an early adopter. Like, I don't want to wait. I'd rather just get it over with now and just make those cuts this time of year. And there's some people that are like, wait to the new year and wait to NADA. So I think there's going to be a lot of cuts. But then there's also people that are looking for that silver bullet. I have more cars than I've ever had before, and I need to sell them, and I need to figure out how to sell them. And in the previous environment, I had more demand than supply, so I didn't need to invest in tools because I was going to sell them no matter what I did. So I'm not on the vendor side, but again, you have people making cuts, and then you have people that need to move the units. So I think for the right vendor, yeah, they could see a major opportunity. If they're there for the wrong vendor, they're going to get cut. They're going to get cut.
Yep. I
Yeah,
assume True Dorito works for a lead gen provider.
probably.
You know,
Hmm.
you know what's crazy, right? What if I was like a manufacturer, like that's where I would be like focusing on in these last few years is like how do we generate our own? How do we do it on our own? How do we not outsource everything, from websites to third party lead providers? I don't think they did any of that over the last few years.
They
Like,
mandated digital retailing.
yeah, and how, but none of them said, like, let's take pen to pencil and figure out how we could do it ourselves.
No.
I mean, that's,
Toyota did.
yeah.
Yeah, I think they developed their own digital retailing solution on that front. But I'm with you, Matthew. Like, why aren't they looking at the whole thing? And do we want the manufacturers doing this?
I'm not saying like you do or you don't. I'm just saying like that's what I would have. That's what I would have done. I mean, it's like I look at Tesla and I look at it for the good, and I look at Carvana and I look at it for the good, and I don't think we've like the good that they have. I don't think anyone said like, man, we're missing the boat there. We're missing the boat on getting cars to market. You know, how we display them, how we're able to sell online, how we're able to sell 4 states over. I think we're still like way behind in that. And I think who's gotten stronger is a lot of the vendors just have gotten stronger and trying to do that. But if I was a manufacturer, I'd try to tackle that.
Well, that's
Be a
because
challenge.
you've got the retail gene in you, and manufacturers have the manufacturing gene in them.
Hmm.
They think more about optimization of an assembly line than how to
Yeah,
entice a consumer.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would almost be coming full circle because I know when things just got started, the manufacturers did. Quite a few of the manufacturers had their own website and technology solutions.
Hmm. That'll come back. It'll come back. You know what's the craziest piece of data that I got? It was around Tesla used cars and not wanting actual pictures of the used cars.
Hmm.
And I got the insight that when they have used cars, they just want it posted online as fast as possible with stock images, price, and miles. And I was like, that's just crazy. But again, like they sell so many used cars as well as new cars, and it's just like a different way of thinking about it. Like for them, it's like speed, getting the best price, getting it out there, and moving it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you say stock images on Tesla's part, excuse me, do you mean like what Ford or Lincoln does, where the
Yeah,
stock images they supply are actually pretty good?
they're really good. They're really good. And yeah, no, they're really good. And it's fun. It's funny to me, right? Because and then you think about Carvana's images and like how they do their imaging. And I was looking. I like to look at Porsches. I think they're cool cars. I wish I was a Porsche dealer, but
I
it's
think
funny.
anyone would disagree with you there.
Yeah. So on they're amazing. But on their inventory listing site, there's like 10% of the dealers that do custom photos like Carvana, and then 90% are stock. My brain now, I prefer the stock photos than the
Really?
Carvana. I do, and I'm telling you, it's just the way that the stock photos look and they give you a better look and feel of the car than the Carvana type photos. I don't know if anyone else feels that way, but I don't click on the custom photos. I click on the stock photos. I'm attracted to them more.
I look,
Hmm.
I big Ford fan. Also, have looked at some other domestics and whatnot, and uh, I love the stock photos there. And when you're flying through multiple vehicles, it's real easy once you figure out what to look for in the photos. Oh, that one's got it. Nope, that one doesn't have it. That one's got that. Nope, doesn't have it. And it's real easy to boil it down fast. So
Hmm.
uh, I can see where you're coming from there.
Yeah, but what if it's a slightly older used car and it's got blemishes and such? You're
Yeah,
not
in a
going to
used
get that
car.
in a.
So that's one thing I think you're going to see in the next, definitely this year, right? As affordability becomes more and more of an issue, I think the manufacturers, I think Honda already started this, but everyone's going to follow suit. They are going to have an older CPO program. They have to do it based on affordability. So where
Hmm.
CPO what normally went like 2 years back or 4, the current year minus 2 or 4, they're all going to come up with a product for older CPOs. And then I think the mindset would be, right, trust the CPO, like build it out so you have trust in that CPO process, from a franchise dealer perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going older based on affordability. People need a payment. The only way to get there is an older car. So they're going to come up with a CPO product. They'll put a rate out, and I don't know. That's I see that 100% coming this year.
Yeah, it makes sense. There's not as much stuff to CPO.
Exactly.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. But to your point, Jeff, yeah, like I would prefer. Be great if there was those stock images were there, and then there were the dealer images as well. So you could dive in a little deeper. But used
Okay.
cars, the images are especially important because that's the that's the only way you're going to know whether that car has got that package or that feature.
Mm-hmm.
You can't trust any of the
You should get
spewing
the
of
original
stuff
window
on a
sticker.
page. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Hmm. So, you got any plans for the holidays, Matthew?
Me, just Thanksgiving with my family. Yeah, yeah, that's it. We're going
Your
to Florida.
parents coming around? Your dad?
We're going to my in-laws and my parents. They're all in South Florida. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that for some warm
Are you heading
weather.
down there?
Yeah, yeah, just for a couple days.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, yeah. What about you guys?
We do the same thing every year. We have my wife's family over to our house. We host.
Nice. Does it
Yeah.
snow on Thanksgiving or not yet?
You
Sometimes.
already had snow.
Yeah, we've had some
Oh,
snow already.
wow.
Yeah. But I gotta say,
Crazy.
it's been growing up in Virginia with my Snyder family. Things used to be really formal. Uh,
Okay.
and so once my grandparents died, and then the family started to do less coalescing, I got to stay up in Vermont, and it's like and being in slippers, or not having to put on we didn't have to wear ties, but we definitely had to wear sports coats. And
Wow.
Really?
yeah, 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 yep, not having to do that has been very nice. It's like, yeah.
It's pretty hardcore.
Yeah, my kids would freak out. Guys put on sport coats and ties for Thanksgiving.
I might have to
Moving up to
change rules at
Vermont
our
and
house.
losing the tie after. Oh man, I had to wear a tie to school, wear a tie to work. Yeah, it was nice. I haven't worn a tie in 12
I haven't
years.
worn a tie in quite a while.
Oh
Yeah,
my.
Yeah.
I don't miss it.
Also, I'm curious, Matthew.
Yeah.
Has we see all these things on the news about um, Chicago, San Francisco, and of course New York City. Um, what's it been like living there? I know we're getting way off the car business path. I'm just curious, like,
Yeah.
has anything changed?
Yeah, a lot. I mean, first of all, what's going on in the Middle East is horrible, and what's changed is like, yeah, it's just crazy. Like we've got marches and protests everywhere, and
You never see it on the news, though. At least
um,
not in the mainstream.
crazy. And I look at an attack on the Middle East as an attack on America, and it's just crazy because I feel like it affects us. Like we're Americans, and yeah, it's just crazy, and the world's just it's nuts and scary. It's scared for my kids, and it's kind of like it's kind of like going back to where we were on 9/11, and having people root for Osama bin Laden and the terrorists. It's just, we live in a crazy, crazy time, and it's really, really scary. And I listen, I'm not here to be political, but yeah, it's scary. And let me tell you, that weekend after the attack, it felt like 9/11 from a business perspective. Our stores were pretty quiet, and it was scary. The road was quiet, and it felt like we were in some really scary times. And just tying it back to the car business, we don't know what's going to happen. No one has a crystal ball, but yeah, it's pretty nuts. It's pretty nuts. I think on a positive note, I think we could solve this. We could solve all this stuff if we wanted to. We're super resilient. We're smart. But I don't know if anybody really wants to roll up their sleeves and solve some of these issues we're going through. But I think they could be solved. It's funny. One of my podcasts, I don't remember who it was, but someone was speaking to a New York police officer, and they were like, "Hey, if you weren't if someone came in, if leadership came in and said, okay, let's clean this place up, could you do it?" And they're like, "No doubt, 6 months cleaned up."
They just did in San Francisco.
Yeah, I know, exactly. So I mean, that's encouraging, and we could do it if we want to do it, and we got to do it. We can't be afraid, because all this stuff is it's a big cycle, and everything that happens, you got to think about it on the flip side, and yeah.
We got to care less about the money.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. But a lot of we live in New York City, and a lot of people, when there's a protest or something going on, they'll keep their kids home from school. We don't.
Really?
We're New Yorkers. We're tough. We've been through it all. And I wasn't in New York City on 9/11. I was in D.C. I was a block away from the White House. I remember that like yesterday. But I mean, look at our generation, right? We're so desensitized. We've been through so much, and it's funny, growing up, our parents would knock us, you don't know bad times, you've lived through great times. I mean, I think they've got to give us a little street cred now. I mean, 9/11, the financial collapse in 2008, all this, the COVID, this, we are so desensitized. I think our parents should give us a little bit of street cred now, because now we think what, Vietnam, what'd you have? You just had 1 decade long war. I mean, it's been our whole life. So maybe we have a little street cred with them.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. No, if I couldn't say that to my grandmother, but
no, I'm
definitely my
World
mom.
War I, World War II. I would not say to a grandma, but our parents, yeah, at least depending on the age.
Yep.
And we got more challenges ahead, but we're resilient. We're an amazing industry, and we can sell anything. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
Damn right.
Hopefully it lightens up.
Yeah.
Or we figured out.
Yeah. That's what we do.
Cool. I think that's a good note to end on.
Cool.
Sure.
Cool. Yeah. Patriotic note.
That's right. Well, thank
Matthew,
you,
it's always a pleasure, man.
Thank you, guys. Thanks. Yeah. It's a lot of fun. You guys are awesome. We'll check back in the spring or sooner. And thanks for everything, guys. Really appreciate it.
All right, man. Have a good holiday. Good
Everybody,
Thanksgiving.
enjoy your holiday and have a good weekend too.
Thank you.
Take care.